What's up, guys? It's Ray J back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with SPY, Tesla, and the overall market. Just know that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out my Moomoo link. If you deposit $100, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks. Deposits $2,000, you're guaranteed 30, not to mention 8.1% APY in uninvested cash. The offer ends at the end of March. Anyways, let's talk about the market. So, looking at Tesla, we're on a downtrend. We had this high up here at 480, and since then we've been making lower highs and lower lows, continue to reject and reject and reject. So, looking at us very recently, we saw Tesla on the 4 hour get this rejection. We were trying to bounce at least on the 4 hour back up to about 333. And then we got this big sell off, losing this structure right here. So we broke structure at the 320 area. Now we're testing this lower trend line right over here, and we're still looking very, very weak. So why did the whole market sell off like this? Obviously, it's not just Tesla, but it's also many of these stocks out there looking at like tech in these different sectors. So we had some bad news. Okay, consumer confidence is at 98.3. We were expecting 102.5 to about 103. We got 98 instead. So why is this bad? This basically tells us that a lot of consumers are expecting another increase in inflation, and there's not confidence right now about the state of the economy. The Richmond Fed numbers were quite decent overall, with services being a little bit weak, but overall, what's very, very weak right now is consumer confidence in the market selling off as a result. So as far as Tesla's going, we're looking very, very bearish right now. We're once again making lower highs and lower lows. We're trying to hold this trend line. We may even try to break below this, and now we're looking to see if 300 could hold. When you go to the daily time frame on Tesla, I want to call out that we have 303 to 300 as our support zone. That's where the 200 EMA happens to be. So we have to see if Tesla could hold 303. If not, I'm going to be looking for this gap support near, this first gap to be visited around this 296 area. And if we don't hold that, we're going to be at risk of revisiting around 275. So 275-ish to 270 is where I'm going to be looking for Tesla to visit. If not, this gap will back down to like 250 if that fails us. So anyways, make sure you watch 300 to 303 on Tesla to see if that holds. Otherwise, I'm looking for 296. Then eventually, we have the risk of returning to about 270 to 275 for a much larger dump, and then we have the gap fill to 250 below that. It's possible Tesla even breaks structure, so you'll notice that we've been on this downtrend. We've been inside of this very, very tight range. Not really a tight range, but this range for the last couple of months. We've been stuck going back and forth between these levels in this channel, and we could lose structure right here. If we lose structure, this will just continue to remain bearish. So for now, there's no sign of a bounce, and Tesla's looking very weak. Watch that 303 area, the 200 EMA, and we'll see what kind of reaction we get. But there is weakness nonetheless. For other tickers out there, we also have SPY. So the daily is looking very weak, but if you zoom in and go into like the 4 hour time frame, we're still looking bearish. Okay, we're still looking quite bearish. We have to see if 590 holds on SPY. If that does not hold, I think that it's possible that we come down to fill this gap over here. There's a gap all the way down around 584. If not, if we hold 590, we could try to bounce. That's going to be our last support. I'll be watching that very closely, but nonetheless, we are looking bearish and we're favoring the downwards direction. Consumer confidence is weak right now. There's a lot of fear amidst the tariffs coming out, and we'll see how this reacts. We're looking for this gap fill back down to 584 if we end up losing 590. Look at resistance at 594. We'll see if we break past that or not to try to bounce 594.65. If not, if 594 fails and we can't get back above that and we lose 590, we're looking for a bigger decline, especially as we have this gap to fill. There's also a gap on the QQQ. I think it's way down here around this 509 area. We're at risk of dipping towards that. I think we came very close to filling it already. And I'm going to be looking at the support near 507. So we'll have to see how well we hold this 506, 507 area. So to be bullish, you want to see us get back above 516. As long as we're below that, we're favoring 510, then all the way down to like 506. Overall, there is some downside potential. For the Russell 2000, we are technically on a bit of a downtrend. Looking at the charts, we had this previous resistance, which is now going to be our next support. And then these lows right here are going to be our support zones, so like that 214 area. We'll see if that holds. If that breaks, if 214 does not hold, we have a gap to fill back down to 211. If it does hold, we could try to bounce for 216 at least technically, but we're favoring downside for like 211 if 214 breaks. So just keep that in mind. For ES, we're rejecting as well. We're barely at support at 59.36. If that fails, this imbalance brings us down to about the very low 5900s, I'd say at the very least, like 5900 flat. Looking weak right now on the daily time frame. On NQ, it looks a little bearish. We're looking for support at 21,000 flat. If that fails, let's just know there's a lot of wicks near 21,000, so that's a very, very strong support. We're barely at support on NQ. If that fails, we dip even more, at least for the short term, approaching Nvidia's earnings. Bitcoin on the daily chart has its 200 EMA at 85,643. I think there's a good chance we visit that. And we'll see if we bounce or not, but there is some downside risk. On Nvidia, I just want to mention that on the 4-hour time frame, there is the possibility of an inverse head and shoulders, right? There's still a possibility of this, but it's slanted and you want to be very careful. It depends on what happens with earnings. Will earnings help this thing bounce or not? You have to be very, very careful. For Aapl, we're looking for support around 245. We're just barely holding this right now, our 20 EMA. If that doesn't hold, we could be dipping closer to like 243. So watch that very closely. Netflix is dipping right now. We have our 200 EMA at 950. We could be visiting that. For Palantir, we're dumping to fill our gap. We're going to get very close to that gap fill. I think we're just a couple of points away. I do see that happening very soon. For the rest of these, we have Coin, which rejected. It bounced and rejected. The main support is going to be close to the low 200s, around 200 flat. So we'll see if that holds. Amazon could be dipping towards 205. We'll have to see if that holds or not. If not, we get very close to 200. We still look bearish. Meta is all the way down to about that 650 area, so it's looking a little bit weak right now. The weakness is perpetuating. We're still seeing this continuing, so just keep that in mind. So we're also below our 4-hour 200 EMA, so it's not a good sign. We still look bearish. Going to be looking to see if 650 holds. If not, this wick was actually all the way down to like 635. Still bearish. No sign of a bounce quite yet. Microsoft is looking bearish. We're barely at 400 if that fails. I'm looking for 398, then 395 is our targets. And Google could be dumping towards 175, so we're still looking bearish. The VIX is starting to break past 20. It's still bullish. There's no sign of rejection yet. That could happen once we get Nvidia's earnings, so we're just waiting. So keep in mind, guys, there's a lot of weakness right now, especially for Tesla. We'll see if 300 holds. If not, we're looking for 296 very soon. Lots of weakness on Tesla stock. I'm just here to give you guys an update. I already went over the news in my earlier video, so keep that in mind. Thank you for listening. Have a good one, guys. I'll be back with another update in a couple of hours. Until then, just know the market's selling off quite aggressively, and just know there's no bottom in sight for Tesla quite yet. 300 is very psychological, so we'll see how well Tesla holds up. Until I see you guys again in a couple of hours, thank you for listening, and peace out.